haven't joined me before, you can find my tutorials there at NiftyKnotz on YouTube under the playlist / podcast NiftyKnotz Talk. We've done all kinds of things so far, and I try to teach based upon the principle that if you can hold your yarn and hold your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, you can pretty much do anything as far as crochet. It's just a matter of sequencing those movements. So yesterday was a little bit scattered. I see today is a little bit scattered already as well. Good morning, everybody. So yesterday, I tried to pause my live, and then it ended my live. So yesterday's tutorial on YouTube is actually in 2 parts, part 1 and part 1.5. But it was this granny square with the African flower, and we are going to take this granny square and this granny square, and we are going to make it into a pocket that encloses a market bag. So this is going to end up being the bottom of the market bag. We're going to build off of it, and you can actually just flip it inside out and close it into that pocket. Good morning, Cindy. How are you this morning? I'm looking for my needle. Am I not always looking for a needle? It means I have to open a new package of needles. I was just using it, so I know it's around here somewhere. I just want to tie in this one loose end. And after I do that, I'm going to take my granny squares. Good morning, Cupcake. I am good, thank you, Cindy. Good morning, Candace. Nana Cindy. I did not tie in my last end here, which I thought I did, but I didn't. And then we are going to jump right into trying to put this bag together. How was everyone's evening? It felt good to get outside yesterday and sit outside yesterday. I spent the afternoon, I put the rest of my patio furniture out. So I sat outside last evening to crochet, and boy, did I miss that. And then I spent the morning on the phone with Singer, and Walmart's Protection Plan services. Let me give you a little bit of advice. I bought a regular sewing machine. I'm just going to chatter while I weave in this last end here. I bought a mechanical sewing machine, thinking that a mechanical sewing machine should last me longer than an electronic sewing machine. I was wrong. The little needle position dial that moves your needle from center to left to center to right for zipper and buttonhole purposes, that I don't actually use all that often. And when I do put a zipper in, I'm usually putting a bunch of zippers in at a time, so I'm not going back and forth and back and forth. I'm just switching it over once, doing what I need to do, switching it back. I'm not constantly moving it back and forth and back and forth. So I called Singer, and Singer says, oh, because after trying to take it to Walmart, Walmart said, you have to call Singer. So I call Singer, and Singer says, we only warranty our mechanical machines for 90 days. If you had bought an electronic machine, it would have been warranted for a year. But it's not. So you have to go back to Walmart. So I called Walmart's protection plan, and Walmart's protection plan says, yeah, you need to call Singer. I said, I don't think so. I just talked to them. This was the number I used. This is the lady I spoke to. This is what she said. So ultimately, in 4 months' time, it only took 4 months to break, which, I mean, you guys see what I sew. It really isn't all that much. In 4 months' time, my $200 sewing machine has depreciated to $165, which is what they'll offer me. So I spent $200 plus $20 for the protection plan, and they're going to hand me $165. But the good news is I can keep my old sewing machine. I don't have to return it. Really? So now I'm going to take that $165. I know, really? It's ridiculous. So I am going to take that $165 and I am going to go and get another sewing machine. And I think I will take the one that I have and see if I can have it repaired. If I can have it repaired, then I have 3 sewing machines. Yeah, exactly. So I would have to take it to get it repaired. Like, really? And I said to the guy, I'm like, well, on the receipt it says X amount of money. And he says, well, we prorate things. And I thought, what is the point of me buying a $20 protection plan? Exactly. It's ridiculous. I would have been better off not to buy the protection plan, take it to Walmart without my receipt and exchange it. And tell them, I don't remember when I bought it, and exchange it. So, lesson learned. I was trying to do the right thing. And, yeah, that backfired. All right. Let me find the yarn that I'm using for this project, which I still have in my basket, which is, I'm sure, where my needle is, since that's where I was using it yesterday. And I was thinking maybe I would do yep, no kidding. It probably would be worth getting fixed. It would probably work better and last longer than it originally did. But that makes me wonder now, if I start using the other knobs on it, are they going to, go as well? I don't know. So anyway, for this, the next thing I want to do is I have to think, because I could not even come close to finding a pattern for this online. So we want this to be the outside of our pocket, which is the right side of our piece. So our bag pulls from the inside, and then the wrong side will actually be the bottom of the bag and the bottom of the inside of the bag, so that we have the pretty part when we fold it up. So I'm trying to think how I want to do this. We're going to turn this so it's wrong sides together. Wrong sides together. So that would be my right side and my right side. Thank you, Mary. Hi, Samantha. And I'm going to put them together. And I'm going to take a corner. I'm going to pick a corner. I'm going to, actually, I think I'm going to join them with the same color that I used. No, I'm not. I'm going to join them with this green. I thought maybe I would join it with the purple, but the purple that I used for this has a metallic thread in it, and I'm afraid that if it stretches like a market bag, that metallic thread might break. So my other choices were yellow or green or brown, and I think I'm going to do green for my bag portion of it. So wrong sides together, I am going to pick a corner, and I'm going to, let me see how I want to do this. I had it figured out in my head because I need to leave one side of it open, but yet I need to go all the way around it. Okay, so I'm going to pick a corner and I'm going to join with a slip stitch. And then I'm going to work just one side first. So I'm working from the wrong side, and I'm only working through one square first. So I'm going to just single crochet all the way over. 1, 2, again, I'm just working on one side. My wrong sides are together, but I'm just working across one side so far. And I'm working a single crochet, which is just insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. They are standard US terms, and I'm just working all the way across. And I know I should have 19 because I had 17 across plus my corner spaces. 17? Wait, I might have more. Let me count. My math might not be right in my head since nobody else's math seems to be really accurate this morning. Anyway, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 23 because I forgot to add in my corner pieces. So I have 23 across. So with my wrong sides together, I joined them together. I single crocheted atop the first granny square. Second side, I'm going to hold them both together, and I'm going to once again go into that corner space, and I'm going to single crochet through both thicknesses this time, and it should be 23 stitches again. 2, so again I'm going through the first part. I only did through one. The second side I'm going through both to stitch them together. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm just working a single crochet all the way across. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23 is in my corner. 23 is in my corner. So now I have this side that we did just one. This side that we did, we actually single crocheted together. That's the second side. I'm going to put one more stitch in this corner to go around, and that'll be my corner stitch. And I am going to mark that corner stitch. Now I mark my corner stitch. Again, on this side, I'm going to take both pieces together and I'm going to do my first stitch in my corner, and then working through both pieces of fabric, to join them together. I'm just going to single crochet all the way across again. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not feeling very fast this morning. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, should have the same number, that's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 should be in my corner space. That's my last stitch. That's my last stitch for this row. I'm going to put one more stitch in for my corner stitch and mark my corner stitch. And then I'm going to work up this side again and close it. So I will then have, so if you look what I have so far, I worked across this row here, and then I worked this together to seam it together, and then I worked the bottom part to seam it together, and now I'm going to work the third side seam together. So working through both thicknesses, I'm going to go back up my 23 stitches, putting my first stitch after my corner stitch. I'm putting another stitch in my corner to make stitch number 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I'm going to put stitch number 23 into my corner space. I'm going to do one more stitch for my corner space, and this might get a little bit tight here. Just going to do one more stitch for my corner space. One more stitch in my corner space for my corner, and then I'm going to start working along this side to finish off this edge. So for my first stitch along this edge, I'm going to try to pull this apart the best that I can. So you can see there's my corner. There's my corner that I did my last stitch in. And here's my first corner going across this side. So I'm going to put the first stitch into that corner there. Maybe. I am. So the first stitch into that corner is going to be stitch number 1. And then I'm going to work the same way across just the one piece. Just across the piece we haven't finished yet. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23 will be in the last space. And then we can just join it to the first stitch on that side. So now we have a pocket. This is the inside of our pocket. So when we flip it this way, this is the right side of our bag. So this is the right side of our bag. Looks like we have our stitching up the sides, but it's actually our single crochets. And I'm going to flip this back again. So I'm looking at the wrong side of the bag. And this wrong side of the bag is going to be the right side of our stitching around the outside, because we need to build our bag up from that. So, meow. I have a cat out there, meow. Let me see if he wants in. Stretch. I am so stiff today. I did so much running around yesterday that I actually got my 10,000 steps in, which I haven't had in a really, really long time. Not yet. I know she's been busy this week and she was traveling, so I was going to give her a week or so and then get back to her. All right. So now our bag part. Again, we're just going to work through the top part. The top part of one. Not this part. So just this top part. So of our hook. And I'm actually going to chain one and single crochet in the same space that I joined. So all I did was chain one and single crochet in the same space that I joined. I'm going to chain 5, and this is where it's going to get just a little bit tricky, I think. I'm trying to think how I want to do this because I want to keep my stitches open. I think that's how I'm going to do it. Okay. So you see all these little bars here. This is what you were looking at when you're crocheting. Because if we keep going across, actually that doesn't even make sense. That makes no sense. I'm going to say, now that we joined our top, we're going to turn. And we're going to work down the second side. So working down, so now that you've turned, so we finished up here, we crocheted across, and we finished here and joined with a slip stitch. Now we're going to keep working on the right side of our stitches. So we're going to keep working on the right side of our stitches. So I'm going to chain 5, one, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to skip one stitch. I'm going to count that as this stitch right here. I'm going to skip a stitch and I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch. So it gives me a loop. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry. Chain 5. And I'm going to skip the next stitch and single crochet into the next stitch. And I'm going to keep doing that across. I'm going to chain 5, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 5, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 5, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. And I'm going to do that all the way around the edges that are joined until I get to the top pocket. So I'm just going to keep doing my chain 5, skip 1, and single crochet all the way around until I get to the very top here. And then we're going to do something a little bit different with that. Again, I'm just doing a chain 1, chain 5, skip 1, single crochet. So it's going to just start looking loopy all the way around. And I'm just going to keep going around like that. Thank you for all the likes. Until I get to that open pocket part. And then we're going to do it just a little bit different. I'm just reading through my comments here, making sure I didn't miss anybody. Just Cindy liking my live. Thank you, Cindy. Chain 5, skip 1, single crochet 1, chain 5, skip 1, single crochet 1. So yeah, lots of loops. Chain 5, skip 1, single crochet 1, chain 5, skip 1, single crochet 1. This is going to work out so that I have my single crochet 1. If I skip 1, I have my single crochet 1 right in the corner. It may or may not work out that way. If it doesn't, it's not really going to matter. As long as you're doing chain 5, skip 1, and single crochet 1. skip 1, single crochet 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 1, single crochet 1. And again, I'm going to work that all the way around to where it's joined, and then I'm going to stop when I get to the opening of the pocket because we're going to do it a little bit different. This would be a good yarn stash bag. It would hold lots of balls of yarn. So I've gotten 2 sides done so far, and again, those are both sides that are put together. So I have one side, the second side, I'm going to do the third side, and then I'll show you how we're going to do that open side. And I'm just going to continue doing my chain 5, skip 1, and single crochet 1. There are a couple of different ways that you can do this. If you don't like how I don't mind how this is like way loopy, you can do your first set with 3 single crochets, and then your second time around with 5 single crochets, and then your next time around with 7 single crochets. So you can make your mesh bigger as you go up the bag. I'm going to start with 5 and then do 7. But this round I'm still working on 5s, chain 5s, skip 1, single crochet 1, skip 1, single crochet 1, skip 1, single crochet 1, and my last one should be up here by the corner. Skip 1, and I'm going to single crochet into my corner 1. And that brings me to the pocket side. Now when I'm all done with this, and I have my bag done that I can tuck inside, I eventually want to put like a little eyelet round around here so that I can put like a little drawstring to draw it closed, or even just a drawstring to loop over and put a button on. So in order to be able to go back around this, I have to leave the actual stitches unworked. That may sound really odd. So instead of working into the stitches, I'm going to do what they call post stitch. So I'm going to work around the post. So let me see if I can flip my camera to show you. Let me do just a couple to get around the corner. And then I will flip my camera so that I can show you how I do a post stitch. Okay, let me flip my camera real quick, because it will definitely be easier for me to show you this post stitch from the opposite side, but I have to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so to do the post stitch, you're not actually going to work into the stitch, you're going to work around the stitch. So here are my three sides that I've done with my single crochet fives. Skip one, single crochet, chain 5, skip 1, single crochet, and this is where I came to the top. This is my end here. So after I do the corner stitch here, working across the top of the pocket is where I'm going to do, and I'm just working through one side of that pocket. And again, I want to leave these stitches open so that I can work into them, so I can do like a finishing edge on it, but I still need to get this part of the bag to go around it. So I'm going to do my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains, and then you can see where I worked this post. So instead of counting on the top the stitches, we're going to count this right here, this little V. So I single crocheted around this V. I'm going to skip this one, and I'm going to come to this one, and that would be our post. If they were double crochets, they would be taller, but they're not. They're single crochets, so they're shorter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch before, and then I'm going to bring it into around that post, and that's where I'm going to work my single crochet. So I'm going to put it in there around my post, and then I'm going to single crochet. So I've left all these stitches unworked, but I worked through the post of the stitches so I can still attach my bag. So I'm going to show this to you all the way around, or all the way across this one. So I worked around that stitch. Now I'm going to do my 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. This is the stitch that I worked around. I'm going to skip the next stitch, and I'm going to work around this stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook before it, bring it up after it, and then I'm just going to work my single crochet like that. So I have my loop. I did not work into my stitches. I still have my stitches so that I can work my stitches. Whoops, sorry. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do my 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the stitch that I worked around. I'm going to skip the next stitch. I'm going to work around the next stitch. So worked around, skipped, I've actually done those. They are called reticules, and I worked around that stitch. And I love reticules. They're like little wrist bags that they could either carry on their wrists or they could secure to their undergarments, because they all had like slits in the side of their dresses so that they could stick their hands into. They weren't really pockets, but they could secure their reticule to the inside of their like undergarments so that they could reach in and grab their pockets, and that's what they were called. So this one, we did around this stitch. We're going to skip this stitch. We're going to go around this stitch. So skip one, go around it, and to go around it again, in through the front, up around that post. So again, I'm not working into my stitches, I'm working around the post, and I'm just going to double crochet or single crochet just like that. And again, I'm going to do 5 more. And you can see this is the one that I worked into. So I'm going to skip this one, and I'm going to work around this one to work around it, go in before it, up after it, and just work my single crochet that way. A couple more I'll show you here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the stitch I worked into. That's the stitch I'm going to skip. This is the stitch I'm going to work around. So I'm going to put it before the stitch we're working around, bring it up after the stitch that we're working around, do my single crochet that way. And again, you can see if I flip it over, we have all these stitches unworked because we worked on the post of them. So when we want to come around and do a finishing edge on the top to make the right side of our bag look a little bit finished on the top, we can do that once we, the outside of our bag, once we fold it all together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I worked through this post. I'm going to skip this next post. I'm going to work this post. And you can do these post stitches with anything but pretty much a slip stitch. And I'm just going to single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the post that I worked into. This is the post that I'm going to skip. This is the post that I'm going to work around. So I would insert it before, bring my hook up underneath it, work my single crochet that way. And it looks like I have one more to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this one I am actually going to work around my post. Or maybe I'll just work this one into the stitch. Let me see what this looks like. So I'm going to skip this one. Oh no, I'm going to work that one on into the post. So I have one more post I can work. So that post I did. This post I'm going to skip. This post I'm going to work around. And I'm going to single crochet there. And I'm going to call that my round. So let me flip my camera back. So that's what it should look like so far. So far it should look like this on the one side that we just did, and it should still be open on the other side that we just did. So let me flip my camera back around. Whoops. Let me flip my camera back around. There I am, my craziness. And show you how we're going to continue that. And I think doing the market bags, we kind of use this method for our loops. You can count your loops if you want to make sure you're constantly having an even amount of loops around there. I'm not. I'm just going to wing it. So now I've ended here. I've ended here with my last post stitch there. So now I'm going to actually slip stitch into the next chain loop, to the very next chain loop. I'm going to chain one, and then I'm going to single crochet. And that's going to bring me to the top of that first loop. And I'm going to mark the top of that first loop for the second round. So here's my opening. I'm working from this side, and I'm going to, I think I want my loops just a little bit bigger. You can keep making your loops 5 if you want to make your loops 5, to make your loops a little bit smaller. But I think I'm going to make my loops a little bit bigger. That way I won't have like a huge amount of loops and a huge amount of bag to try to stuff into here. And, you know, again, it's meant to be a market bag. So it's meant to kind of have like the bigger holes, but it's meant to stretch. Hello there, Hoarderess. So I'm going to do for this next round around 7, and then I'm going to single crochet into the top. You can either single crochet or you can slip stitch, but I usually single crochet. So again, I'm going to do 7, and then I'm going to single crochet, and I am going to do that all the way around to the very end. So when you get to the very last one, so I'm just going to sit here and do it. When you get to the very last one and you've got your single crochet, chain 7, single crochet, we're going to join this last loop a little bit differently so that we end up on the top of the loop to start the next round. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep doing my 7, and single crochet in the top, and my 7, and single crochet in the top. So it's going to start looking really loopy, but you have to remember that we're going to pull these sides up to make like a mesh bag, so it's going to be loopy. You like the way this is turning out? Thank you. You know what? I am too. There are some things that I sit here and do with you guys. You guys give me ideas and I do them that I'm like, oh, you know what? I really, really like this. I might have to make some more of these. This is going to be one, I think. This I think is definitely going to be one. Because this is one of those projects that not only could you make like the bottom of it square, and see we're working from this side, but this is going to be the right side that we're working from. My husband had all the windows open, now I have a fly. So that when we pull up our bag, this flap of the pocket's actually going to be inside the bottom of the bag. So, I mean, you could put like a little button here too, but we'll work on that when we do the outside of this, so that you could like put like, you know, stick your wallet or whatever you wanted in the very bottom of the bag. But I'm going to keep working around, doing my 7, and just single crocheting into the next loop. And this is a bag that if you didn't want the bottom to be square, you could just make the flower part of it. And then just keep going around in circles instead of making the corners on it. And you could make this the bottom of your bag, and just do it. You would have to do this the same way though. You would have to mark off a spot at the top of your circle where you were going to leave your opening so that you could work the way we did, so that you would have your opening. So if I actually get this done, which I should, I'll start one with a circle as well. And then from that point, everything will just pretty much be the same. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think this is going to be in my yarn bag when I go to my mom's. Maybe I'll stick it on my table. I have such a hard time keeping things. At the same time, I have such a hard time deciding I want to like give them away and sell them. But I mean, honestly, I love making those granny square bags, and I would have made just as many. And what am I going to do with like 10 granny square bags? Wear a different one each day? Just because I liked making them? Yeah, that is what I'll do. I'll probably put them on my shop site, and then I'll take them to the market my dad and I do in August. Maybe if I'm really motivated, I'll set some things out on a table for my mother's yard sale. That's next weekend. Again, I'm just all the way around 7 chains, and then seven chains, single crochet. So this was 5 chains, skip a stitch and single crochet. This is 7 chains and single crochet in the next loop. I'm going to do that all the way to the last one. Am I there yet? That's a lot of loops. I could have probably skipped 2 loops, but I started this way, so I'm committed. You like your granny bags? I'm glad you like them. They really are my favorite. Like, I see a bag that I like, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to make it. And then it's, oh my god, how can I make this like completely functional, totally functional, so that it's not going to like stretch or fall apart? Because that's just, I feel like if I'm going to sell it, I want it to be something that's everyday functional, and not something that you're afraid to use. Like, this would be a good flea market bag, because you could just tuck it and then open it up and just put all your flea market bags into your bag. Durable, yes. That's a good word for it. Like, I like my stuff to be durable and usable and everyday. But at the same time, like, I like them to look pretty and unique. So, and I have fun with it. almost all the way around it again. Getting there. Almost. I have 2 more loops to do. Single crochet in the top, that one, then do my 7, and I'm going to single crochet in the top of this one, now to finish off this row so that I end up in the middle of a loop, I am going to single crochet 2. Let me see how big I need to have that. You want it almost to be half, so single crochet 2, and then I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to actually double crochet into that first stitch, and that looks like it's a little bit too small, so I think maybe I'm going to do 3 double crochets, or three chains, and double crochet, and see if that gives me the same size loop. Not quite. So I think I'm going to do 4 chains and a treble. And a treble would be, so I did 4 chains and a treble. I'm trying to get this and this last one even. So 4 chains and a treble, and your treble would be, let me move that stitch marker. So I did 4 chains, and your treble would be yarn over twice, insert your hook into your stitch, yarn over and pull through your stitch, and you will have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and that looks much more like the size that I'm using. So you can play with that to see how you need to do it. So that's how I'm going to do that. And then I am going to mark that treble crochet just so I know when I get to the end, I'm going to do the same thing. After I've single crocheted in this stitch and I come back to the beginning of my round, I'm going to do my chain 4 and then my longer stitch to give me the longer loops. So now looking at it, it looks kind of all crunched up, but don't forget, you are going to pull it up into a bag. So these eventually are going to come all the way around, and I think I am going to make bigger loops than that. I think I'm actually going to go, what do I do, from 5 to 7? I think I'm going to go from 7. Leather is heavy. Yeah, I'm not a big leather bag fan. I like canvas or cloth. Alright, so this next row around, I think I'm going to do 10. So I'm going to make the loops even bigger. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that might seem pretty big, but if you're putting bags inside this bag, Like if you have grocery bags and you're going to like put grocery bags in this bag, or boxes of stuff, or like if you're at the flea market or craft show, people usually put things in bags. You can shove it in here. They're not going to fall through these loops. It's supposed to be a market bag that's loopy and meshy. That's why I said it would make a good yarn stash bag. So yeah, I'm going to do 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 10 is going to be my limit. So I'm going to go around this bag with 10 for my third round, 10 chains and 1 single crochet in the next one. So I'm going to do 10 more chains, single crochet in the next loop. You can, if you want it to be, if you don't want the mesh to be bigger, you can just stick with 7 crochet, 7, and 7 will give you about the same size mesh as the market bags that we did before. But I'm going to make mine just a little bit bigger. So if this was the size approximately of the market bags that we did to begin with, you can see this one's going to end up being just a little bit bigger. A decent size bit bigger. I'm holding it. There you go. Not too much bigger. So again, I'm just going to work all the way around. Good morning. Now when I get to that last stitch, I might have to adjust my stitches to get at the top of my loop. Whereas if you recall, we did 4 stitches and then a treble crochet to put us at the top of our loop. We may need to do 5, and we may need to wrap our hook, yarn over a hook 3 times to make the loop as big as this, but we'll make it work. We just kind of have to play with those stitches to make sure that we get them where we want them. And at this point your bag's going to work up pretty fast. Whoops, I only did 5 on that one. That's not good. Again, if you wanted less loops, good morning, Karen. If you wanted less loops when you start out, you could skip 2 in between there. I just skipped 1 because it made the math easy. And when I get around this one this time, I'll show you how we're going to flip it. It's almost looking like a doily. Trust me, it will be a bag. With handles. could have done less loops and less chains. Just for demonstration purposes. But I think I'm going to like it much better with the bigger loops. So am I almost around here? No, I'm halfway around. Three-quarters of the way around. Almost all the way around. The square is not. There is a link to the square in my link tree. And yeah, the rest of this is just basically winging it, freehanding it, just kind of putting it together. So far we have this, and it's going to be a bag that folds into the bag, which I can show you here in a minute. And it's just a market bag, so it's big and loopy, like the other market bags. Oh, thanks, Lana. I appreciate that. It looks more red on the screen, but it's actually more pink. This is my favorite. This is how I like my hair. Almost there. Oh no. I thought I was almost there. There's my beginning. Okay. Trust the process. You love the pink. Thank you. I started that last year or the year before, maybe. I decided that instead of dyeing it all the time, I would let my gray grow in and then use semi-permanent colors that wash out. So that way, like, during the summer I could wear it pink, but if I had to go somewhere, I could like really scrub it out, and I could like put semi-permanent brown in it so that if I needed to, I don't know, go somewhere with my mother that she didn't want to see my pink hair, I could put the semi-permanent brown in it and then just come home and just like scrub that out of it after a few days and then put some more pink in it. And it's less damaging to my hair than the permanent hair color was. And I like it pink. Almost. I'm just going to show you how to end the rest this round here since we increased our stitch count. So I'm at my last one. So I did my 10 and I'm going to single crochet into this one. And the next loop is going to go from here to here. But I want to end at the top of it to continue my loops. So I'm probably, since I did 10, I'm probably going to need to do at least 4, 2, 3, 4 to pull it up halfway. And whereas I yarned over twice to finish this loop here, I did a chain 4 and I did a treble, so yarn over twice. I think this one I'm probably going to have to do my chain 4 and yarn over 3 times. Let me try it. So yarn over 3 times, and this is my first stitch. So I'm going to go into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through my loop, and you see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on my hook. I'm going to work the same way I would any other stitch, through 2, through 2, through 2, and through 2, and then I'm going to look at it and say, that looks pretty close. If I hold them all up, that looks about the same size, so that worked. And it put me at the top of the loop to start my next loop. So I'm going to take that quadruple stitch that I just did there, and I'm going to put my bobby pin in it, so I know when I do my last single crochet here, I know I need to chain my 4, yarn over 3 times, and stitch to there, and it will give me my loop the same size. And I can start right from the top to do another loop. You can start right from the top, or you can single crochet in the top first and then start your chains, however you want it to, whatever your preference is. So now if you look at this, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to pull it down to show you, but probably much better if I strung something through there. But if you look at this, this is our bag that's starting. So our bag is going to actually come up this way. Around, this will be the bottom of the bag. These will be the sides of the bag that come up. And we're going to keep going up. And because this is a big stitch, you're probably only going to need, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 more rows of this. 7 more rows, depending on how deep you wanted your bag to be. And then this is, once you've got all that together, we'll put the handles on, but this is going to be what I mean by you can fold it up and it will just all tuck into that granny square. So when you finish all your loops will then tuck down into that granny square. And you can see how we did our back post stitches here when we did our loops, so that we can do like a decorative edge around it, because this is the side that has all of our loops on and this doesn't, but we wanted to keep all of our stitches open so that we can go around and do like an eyelet round if you wanted to pull it closed, or a zipper round, or even just a loop with a button. I am using a size 6 hook, J6. Why won't it focus? There you go. I know it's backwards, but it's a J 6mm is what I'm using. So then when you take it and you pop it out, this becomes the bottom of your bag on the outside, and this pocket is actually in the bottom of the bag on the inside. So if you wanted to put something in that pocket, you could slide something in that pocket, and you could actually put a fastener on that as well, so that if you wanted to keep it closed, you could keep it closed inside the bottom. But you can see how it's draping down. So if this was our pocket in the inside of our bag, it would drape down this way. The granny square pattern is in my, if you go up to my profile and you click on my link tree, it's the African flower square that I used, and I do have the link to that blog site. That was the square that I used. And then the rest of it, I just kind of like winged it. I just kind of went, okay, let's see how this works. So I'm going to continue around with my 10. And then single crochet in the next loop. I'm just going to keep going all the way around. You're welcome. I've been trying to the only thing bad about 10 stitches is you have to count them. I've been trying to, when I use a part of a pattern or a partial pattern, which I'm really good for, like I know the idea and design I want to do, but I don't necessarily want to do the work to figure out like the part that I know somebody's already figured out within my design. So I will put the links to those things like this. I did. That was the beginning of this. So by the end of the afternoon, that will be uploaded to TikTok, and it will be all in one piece. It will not be part 1 and part 1.5 like yesterday ended up having to be. It will just simply be part 2. And I'm just going to go all the way around. And like I said, I wanted it to be a bigger bag because that way I can take it with me. And if I wanted to open it up, I can open it up and I can put other bags in it, even though it's, you know, big and meshy. But that's kind of how I wanted it to be, big and meshy. You can make your loops smaller. If you make your loops smaller and a little bit further apart, you'll have much less loops to put on there. So you could like start with 5 and skip 2. 5 and skip 2, or you could start with 7 and skip 3, depending on how you wanted to start it. I just started it a little bit smaller just because, I don't know, it's usually how I do my bags. But you can see how that mesh is growing. And then I'm going to work this so that it is as big as I want it to be. Oh yeah, you could stuff a pillow in that. I'm going to work this as big as I want it to be, as tall as I want it to be. So I'm going to, and to make sure it's as tall as I want it to be, I'm actually going to stretch all of this up, because when you're working in rounds of 10 like that, you're going to get to a point where it does start to curve up. So to kind of determine if it's the size you want with all these loops, it's kind of hard to tell. You can always take just a piece of scrap yarn and weave them through all of these top loops and pull together sort of like a drawstring to see how tall up you're actually making your bag. So that's an easy way to kind of judge how tall you've made your bag. How tall. Just put a piece of waste thread through the top. Just weave it through all the tops of these and then just pull them up so you can see. So that's the bag part. So yesterday we did the square part. Today we did the bag part. I showed you how we did this with our opening and still have our part of our bag. So that's what I did today. And today and this evening I am going to work on, I am using acrylic yarn. You could use cotton yarn for it if you wanted to. Honestly, whatever your preference is. When I do my tutorials, I usually try to use just whatever worsted weight yarn I have, because that's something that pretty much everybody has in their stash, whether they prefer to work with cotton or acrylic. You can do any of the projects that I'm doing with either or, but I am using acrylic. I like using acrylic. I like the feel of acrylic. Some people don't like the feel of acrylic. I like the feel of acrylic. I like the durability of acrylic. I like the way acrylic washes and dries. That's one of my big things. I like the way it washes and dries. So that's one of the reasons why I use acrylic. I do try to find some prettier acrylics, but it's funny because I would much rather find the prettier colors than say like the fuzzy yarn that I used for the one shrug with the big sleeves and the beads, because that acrylic kind of gets funny and will kind of starts to pill. They get little fuzz balls on them, and this doesn't. So being that like I want my stuff to be like really super functional and washable and used a lot, acrylic is usually what I use, and that's usually why. Because I can throw this in the washer and the dryer and I know it's coming out just like this. It's not coming out like cotton will kind of shrink up and get a little bit crinkly, and you kind of have to pull at it and get it back into shape. This is going in and out just like it did. It's going to be a little bit softer, but yeah, I like acrylics, and that's why. Now, do I use other yarns? Yeah. Have I made myself like winter sets out of well, you know what? The right tool for the right project, right? Right. If I want to make myself a winter set and I know that I'm going to be the person using it and I'm going to be the person taking care of it, yeah, sometimes I decide I'm going to sit down and want to knit cables all winter, and I will like make myself a hat and mittens or something like that out of wool. A lot of the wraps and lace shawls that I make, I'll use out of cotton blends or wool blends or silk blends. So yeah, the right tool for the right project. Just like the slugs I'm making. I wouldn't make the slugs out of this. I used it, made it out of blanket yarn. Just like I wouldn't make this out of blanket yarn unless I was making this for like a pajama keeper, maybe. You know. So yeah, right tool for the right project. And when I do these projects, I want them to be functional, washable, usable. I don't want you to like throw them in the washer and look and say, oh, that was a waste of money. You know, I want them to be used. Anyway, on that note, I have some work to do to get the rest of the body in my bag. But yeah, you know, there are some people that will say, oh, I only use. Well, what do you only make then? Because if you only use, then you're only making, you know, I make all kinds of things. It just depends on what I'm making. When I have a, yeah, exactly. I use everything. I make all kinds of things. So I have all kinds of yarn in my stash.
Making.
It is going to be a bag.
It's cute.
So this is going to be the bag part.
Right.
Right? So it's going to come out. That's going to be the bag part. My daughter. And then when you're done using your bag part, you can just flip it back into the square and contain your bag.
It's a bag in a bag.
It is a bag in a bag. So that's what it's going to be.
That's
and then we're going to
cute.
put little eyelets up here for a drawstring. That's what that's going to be. And there's a couple different ways we can do handles too. We can do handles like we did handles on the regular market bags, or we can do handles like a drawstring handle and actually secure it to this so that you could throw it over your shoulder, or that you could pull the drawstring and put the two strings over your shoulder like a backpack.
Like the handle, that would look so cute.
I mean, you can make all kinds of handles on that, but I'll go over those another day, probably tomorrow. I'm going to try to finish. She sounds like me on here. Oh, I know. I cannot wait. Well, this morning I woke up. It was freezing, and my husband had tree parts in my leggings. My husband had all the windows open, and I thought, oh my God, it's 50 degrees. You have all the windows open. I'm freezing. So I had my long sleeve shirt on and my fleece lined leggings. And now that the sun's up, it's probably about 65 degrees now, maybe 70 even. And I'll open all the windows and put my short sleeves on. It's just what it is here when you live up in Northeast Ohio. It's cold enough to put the furnace on at night, and it's hot enough to take all your clothes off in the middle of the day. Anyway, my chattering. For those of you guys that missed it, at NiftyKnotz is the name of my YouTube channel. The playlist / podcast is NiftyKnotz Talk. And by the time TikTok's done processing this video, I just upload the whole live life happens and everything, chatter and everything, and it should be available. And that was how we started around our 2 squares. This morning's live, just you too take care, and I will see you guys later. This morning's live just started with 2 squares, and this is what we've made with them so far. So I will see you guys later to just be chatty while I'm working on going up this bag here, and I will see you tomorrow to finish off the top and the handles maybe. So on that note, thank you guys for joining. Head on over to my channel. It might cost you to subscribe here. It doesn't cost you to subscribe there. I know most of you guys already do, and I appreciate it. Janie, good morning. I try to see everybody. So that's what we got so far. That's our square, and this is the start of our mesh bag. So I'm going to work my way up my mesh bag so that tomorrow we can work on handles. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I enjoy you guys, and I will talk to you tomorrow.